Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Multiple Calls. I'm Scott Hewlett. So my guest this episode is a pretty private guy when it comes to his personal life, but he's always up to talk fire. We touch a little bit on his background and his journey before the service, but we cover a lot of other ground. If I had to sum him up in 4 words, it'd be the art of war. He approaches his life and his work with humility. He seeks wisdom, absorbs it, applies it, and reassesses. It's the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. We cover how to make change on divisive topics, fitting into a team, challenging yourself and others with accountability, humility, and respect, the benefits of attention to detail, chess, jiu-jitsu, mentors, strategy, and its applications to the fireground. Recognizing leaders in every position, getting out of your own way, removing the fear of error, walking the talk, and turning that into effective practice. Beyond that, we look at choosing your level of promotion based on happiness, setting a realistic tone with your crew, putting yourself out there and keeping the ego in check. The importance of performance appraisals, game changers, helping out wherever you can. Above all, being proactive on the fireground. How to handle flack and criticism afterwards, and peer support. There's a lot here, so buckle up. And now I bring you Jared Newcombe. Jared.
Yeah, my brother.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a long time trying to get us together, eh?
It is, man. Life, It gets in the way.
Yeah, it does.
But I do appreciate the opportunity to come down and chat with you, man.
For
Love
sure.
talking fire.
Right on. Come a bit closer to the mic and that'll be better for your voice. There you go. Now talk to me.
It's like I'm making love to this thing.
That's better. That's better. I put Kool-Aid on top for us, and we poured ourselves a double of it.
That's right, we did, man. Thank you. Cheers.
That was
Salud.
Salud. That was one of the things you threw in your little bio, right, about how you sometimes get accused of drinking the Kool-Aid, but you just see yourself as a student of the fire service, right? Which has been, I guess, it's a common theme, right, that we're always touching on. That
Drinkers of the Kool-Aid, brother. I'm looking at him right now.
I'm looking at him right now.
Hey, you know what, dude? I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We've got a box of Kool-Aid at the station.
Right.
You know, they bring it out at the odd time. You know, anytime there's anything going on, and I ask for a standby, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Out comes the Kool-Aid, brother. Out comes the Kool-Aid.
It's come out at a few retirement parties too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah.
man. You know what's drinking the Kool-Aid, but just being proactive and trying to master in the craft, brother.
Sure. So I think the last time we got to spend like a significant amount of time together was when we worked on ventilation, and we were trying to put the divisiveness of that wide spectrum of people being on either side of the PPA, PPV.
Fuck, what a hot topic that was.
Wasn't it? Yeah, that was.
Oh my God.
That was tough to bring everybody to the middle because it wasn't going anywhere. You know what I mean? We just sort of had to put it in its own little box and.
Dude, fisticuffs. I'm surprised we didn't come to blows a few times. Not just you and me, but the panel as a whole.
Yeah.
Very divisive.
Yeah, wasn't it?
And I think it still is to some degree. You know, having the knowledge to understand what fire is all about. You know, and if you can't apply that, then man, that's not the tactic for you.
It's
brother.
not, right. That's like your end. The end of the education, like, you know what I mean? When you've, not that there's an end to it, but you get what I'm saying. You got to have a lot under your belt before you start messing with something like that.
Well, and that's what made it such a tough pill to swallow, is that we spent a lot of time just talking about fire behavior.
Yeah.
And how air affects fire before we even got into the tactic.
Right. Yeah. So it was part of a 4 or 5 year push, I think, for us.
It was, dude, I remember our live fire guys, they were adamant about having, that chart, the flow of how, or a sequence of operations would happen on a fire scene, and nothing was happening. And I remember they brought it to the table. I was like, yeah, you know what, guys, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
we got to do something with this because there's no consistency across the board. And I didn't realize getting into it though how much would be involved.
How far back we had to go, like from the start, right? You got to start at the beginning.
Oh my God!
And work your way up to it. So I mean, just to bring people up to speed. So we did fire behavior. And then transitional attack was a big thing that, just putting a label again on a tactic that's been around forever. That was something we needed to cover because that was, being spoken about and used. And then standard resource deployment, right?
Yeah, man.
I wanted to ask you where that, I don't think I ever asked you, because like you were the first one, I think, to bring it to everyone's attention. Like, where did that come from? Did you find that somewhere? Did you?
No, dude. You know what? So we did the transitional attack, and that was an opportunity to say, hey, man, let's have a setup. Like how do we approach every fire?
Right.
You know, what's our action plan? Well, fuck, you know what? Let's set up like a generic setup so that, you know, we're prepped for firefighting, for ventilation, post-fire. You know, we've got tools and equipment set up, man. Now you can do whatever tactic you want.
Right. So the way you delivered it was it's a windshield survey.
Yeah,
and you
pretty
get resources moving towards the structure, which, I mean, I'm sure a lot of departments have different names for it. So I'm just trying to frame it so people understand when we say that, what we mean.
So a lot of actors used to come through Station 1 and they'd say, hey, man, so, you know, when I wrote the exam, I'm ready, I'm eligible. What the fuck's an incident action plan?
Right.
Yeah, do I just fly by the seat of my pants? I'm like, no, fuck, dude. You know what? Here's a generic setup. You can run everything off of it, but you tell the guys, do a 45, man. Just set it up. No smoke showing, no big fucking deal. You look good doing it. You've practiced it. Mm-hmm. It's done. Mm-hmm. It's done. You got a garage fire, fuck, a master stream or the 65 fast attack. The point is now the guys were armed with an incident action plan. They could tell the guys before they even position the truck. Mm-hmm. Now, hey guys, go.
Yeah.
Now I can go ask the questions. Is everybody out? If not, where are they? And then, you know, what's the location of the fire? You do your 360. If you were to go back to our past, man, they used to fight fires with 3 trucks.
Right.
3 trucks.
Yeah.
And they were good at it.
Well, there's pros and cons to that, right?
Well, you know what? They fought fires all the time.
Right.
You know, and so their experience level was off the chart, man. Mm-hmm. These guys were soldiers on the field. Mm-hmm. These guys, you know what? They knew what to do, and they're the ones that I talked to first. Much like, you know, interviewing guys, like what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
You interview them, you talk to them, hey, man, so what do you think of this? And they'd be the ones like, yeah, you know what, we need to do that. So they were really the catalyst behind the whole SRD and having some incident action plans for the guys. And
right.
I put it together, and then I wanted to do it repeatedly so that I kind of matched like when we would do the combat challenge.
Right.
Just fine-tuning those little skills.
Drill it, yeah.
Yeah, drill it, man, until you're good at it. Dude, if you're judging things before you even try it, you know what? At some point, you've checked out. To say you're going to do one thing one way all the fucking time,
right?
It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. Can I swear?
Yeah, as much as you want. It's labeled explicit for a reason, yeah.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? Yeah, if you got the blinders on, you're doing one thing one way all the time, you know what? Check out.
Right.
Get the fuck out.
Right.
But if you're open to things, you got to try everything. Mm-hmm. And then you may get something out of it.
Sure.
And you may adapt something and add it to your arsenal. And dude, you just become better. Mm-hmm. Isn't that the goal?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, this is also where I've used this a few times about speaking out of both sides of our mouth, right? Well, you know, guys will say, well, every fire is different. And that's often used as to say, well, you can't train on one thing because, well, every fire is different, so you just got to wing it. But basically, that's it's like an excuse, right? To not train, to not try and learn.
I do agree to a certain extent that every fire is different. But when I say every fire, what I'm referring to is every job is different.
Sure.
The fire, man, you know what? We did fire dynamics. We did all the training on that. Every fire, the science is the same.
Yeah.
You can control it with the exchange of air, and you got to apply water.
Right.
You know?
Imagine that.
How about that? Yeah. Go figure.
And the other thing we handed over too was that, you know, you can say they're all different, but you can put them in categories. So high-rise fires are way different than residential fires.
Sure, yeah.
Like, you know, detached homes. But all detached homes have consistent things about them. All high-rises have some consistent things about them. And there's minute differences amongst them. But I think when you think of categories, then you can start to hammer down how do we approach that category. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? The topography is always different. Mm-hmm. Number of windows that are open versus closed, always different.
Right.
And that affects how you approach a fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you have people visible? Don't you? Do you know where they are? Those are all big factors in your decision making.
Right.
Like, so, no, you can't apply fire tactics that you'd use for residential to, say, a commercial building, they're different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your tactics should be different. Your approaches are different.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you know what? Our mission is life, property, and scene stabilization.
Right.
That's our mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what really what brought us really close together on this journey was the ventilation, and that opened up. I guess
I don't know, man.
No pun intended. That opened up a lot of doors.
I think it goes back further than that.
Yeah,
I think it goes way back.
But we got heavy on that one. There was a lot to cover.
Oh, it was for sure. You know, and it was funny. Even you and I at times fisticuffs.
Sure,
almost.
sure.
Yeah. Hey, but agree to disagree. But you know what? At the end of the day, I came out with a ton of knowledge.
Me too.
A greater respect for our job and the people around me.
Yeah, if you're gonna get into something difficult, there's gonna be some difficult moments, right? But we all we had always had the respect there and the end goal together. So I think that's why it worked out well.
Well, the mission was always the same, right? You know, just to become better, people, fire guys. At the end of the day,
you know, we've done all this work together, but I don't really know what you did before you got on the job. Like, what did you do before? Can you dig that far back?
Dude, I could dig back. Yeah. You know what?
And when did fire come on the scene for you? What was the start of it? Give me the lowdown.
You know what? Grew up out in BC, and not a lot of money, man. So I worked with a guy that we did scrapyard stuff. You know, we pick up old cars, metal, take it to the Felix scrapyard,
right.
Get some money, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started, and then I got into working in the bars, slinging beer and bouncing. I did that till I was, I think, 20. That was a blast, man. I love doing that. But from there, I got into lighting and electrical field.
Okay.
Met my wife, and her dad introduced me to the fire chief at that time, and he would tell me stories, and I'm like, oh shit, dude, that sounds that's awesome.
So did he introduce you with a purpose of like introducing you to the service, or was like, this is a guy I know?
You know what? It just turned out it was a fella that I'd met up on the lake, and we would just start talking, about what's going on
right.
and work, and he'd fill me in, and the passion that he had when he talked about, the fire service and the men that he worked with,
mm-hmm.
Men and women that he worked with. It was inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't intend to be a fireman initially. I just talked to the fella, and he got me kind of keen on it. I tried.
So what were the first steps? Like, where did you go from that conversation? What was the first thing?
First thing I did was, I put together my resume and started applying places, man,
mm-hmm.
from Ottawa through to London.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple of good ins, but I'm, when it comes to drinking and writing a test the next day, it doesn't really mix very well. So, I just held out, kept doing my thing, and eventually I did get on. Now, the fire chief at that time had been long retired,
mm-hmm.
but it was best thing that ever happened to me, man. Saved my life.
Wow.
For sure. Saved my life.
Yeah. And so what was your rookie experience like?
Dude, Station 1, Delta Platoon.
Right.
Pack of wolves. Like, seriously, wolves, man. I thought I'd been around the world, done a lot of things,
right.
lived life, but these guys, they were a tough bunch. Love those guys, and they molded me from day one, just to be, I'd say, how do you say this? To be the best that I could be at every task,
mm-hmm.
every little function around the department, right from cleaning, right through to cooking, to doing the trucks,
right.
and then on scene. And to follow these guys around, because they were very, precise on a fire scene. Everything they did had a purpose, and they moved, man. They moved, and it was fluid on the fire scene. And you know what? I got hooked real quick.
Right.
I think fucking day one. Can I name names?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So Gano was the first guy on the back of the truck with me. And
wow.
I remember day one.
Wow.
And we fought fires, and he's like, Newcombe, slow down. Let it go for just a little bit. Let's watch. And then I would learn, man. But the shenanigans around the hall,
mm-hmm.
I learned from the best, because these guys were really good at it. the rookie experience was it was top notch. It set the foundation for the rest of my career.
Did you have any letdowns or disenchantment moments where you thought, you came in, you see this group of people, they operate this way? Did you see other areas in the department not operating at that level, and did you have any frustration with that, or was the whole department like that at that time?
You know what? I didn't really focus on what was happening outside of the station,
right.
And my crew, because really my focus at that time was fitting into a team. They were already a real close-knit bunch, so it was really just a matter of me acclimating myself so that I wasn't the weakest link. So I really wasn't too concerned about other stations, other shifts. I got to a certain point where I felt really comfortable. And then it was like, you know what, fuck, let's start challenging myself. And then I asked Erwin at the time, he was my district chief. I said, hey, chief, you mind if I try the high level technical rescue? And then I did a 7-year stint with the boys down at 2. Working with guys like Vasey, it just took me to the next level, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get him. I'm gonna try and get him on here. I don't know if you will, but
I hope he does. Because dude, that guy's got a lot to offer.
I know,
He got a shit ton for sure.
I'm gonna bribe him with popsicles. I hear that's his weakness.
Yeah. Get a 24-pack.
I'll just leave a trail of popsicles from there to here, and we'll.
I'm pretty sure you could, allure him with one of these too.
A little bit of Kool-Aid,
Yeah,
sure.
Kool-Aid.
Some Kool-Aid and popsicles, yeah. Maybe I'll make Kool-Aid popsicles for him. Totally blow his mind. When did combat come into the scene for you?
You know what? I think I was 3 or 4 years on, and Zeus had me out to the training grounds, and oh man, you know what? He ran me and he fucking pushed me. I near fucking died, like day one.
And that was our first time really meeting each other and working together, right?
Yeah. When did you start?
98.
98. So I started in 93. I'm telling you, dude, when he first started doing it, and 2 minutes was that was the mark.
Right.
Like the world's fastest man, right fucking there, 2 minutes. That's all I wanted to do, but I barely finished my first go around. But I did, because the guys push you, right? And there's no quit in this. It's all grit and heart and just keep going. But man, I fucking near died. I near died. Like, my lungs were bleeding. My head was exploding. I had to pee.
But then you learn a lot about yourself even more, that you came back and kept doing it, right? Like, some people do that and think, I'm never doing that ever again.
Dude, I thought I was in great shape. Like, I thought I was a warrior, but, oh, man, that was a humbling experience. But it kept me coming back, though, too. I loved doing the combat with Pete and those guys. And you know what I love most about it was that their attention to detail. No egos. They're just like, hey, man, here, try this. It was like, oh, fuck, eureka moment. All right, I love it. I just cut down 5 seconds. Anyways, it was great, man. It was nice to be a part of that team, And at the time, they were world champs.
Well, you're a tactics and technique and detail person, right? So stuff like that puts the bug in your ear.
For sure. It's you and I have spent a lot of time up there as well. You, me, Welshie, a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. But of course, there's certain few that would help me to perfect the craft.
Sure.
On the tower, and it was, man, we spent a lot of time. I need a lot of work. You know what though? I got no ego.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. So
I learned that from
Scotty,
you too.
Hey, come on, fucking show me.
Yeah.
Show me, dude.
And we taught each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that was a humbling experience though. I think everybody should do it. In fact, make that you pass that before you can get hired on.
Speaking of techniques and tactics and details and no ego and learning, you're a big chess guy. Yeah,
are we gonna play? Fuck, I'm ready.
That's where you get it. That's where you have to teach me. I know the basic moves. That's about it.
Oh yeah. It's what. There's a beginning game, a middle game, and an end game. And it's all in the setups. During my beginning game, I'm just watching you, dude, seeing what you're doing, and then now I know how I'm gonna play my middle and my end. and it's no different than firefighting. But there's a lot of guys, like a lot of our former fire chiefs, they're all chess players.
Wow.
Strategists. It's like, hey, dude, come on, let's play. Let's see what you got.
Have you tried Go? Are you aware of that game?
No.
Okay. We're gonna have to look that up. And
let's go.
There's like a next level chess, like chess on steroids.
Oh, man. Okay, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of it. I've been out of the loop.
Well, that's a great segue too. So you also introduced me to the OODA loop.
The OODA loop,
right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So for people that don't know what that is, give me a rundown on that.
For sure. Okay, so you've got a colonel out of the States. He's an Air Force pilot, and he comes up with this OODA loop. It's just a decision-making model, and it's all based on who you're fighting at the time, and what's presented to you, and how you take those little cues that are presented to you and turn it into decision making.
Okay.
So you're observing, you're orientating yourself, you're making decisions, and part of your decision is to have multiple options of decisions, like plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you think about it. What would your outcome be? You're forecasting and predicting, and then you're actually taking action.
Right.
And that action, once you take action, it feeds back, because all of a sudden, something's going to happen. If you're applying water, if it's not changing color, or if it's not going out, that you're getting feedback. So then you go back to observing, orientating, deciding, and acting.
Right.
You can adjust what you're doing to the situation. That in itself it's so simple. It's so easy to think of, and you can use that when talking to guys about firefighting. No fire is ever the same. Okay, no problem. Sure. Let's take a look at what we got. Let's see what our frame problem is. What's the life problem? What's the exposure problem? Let's consider what our actions are, and let's take action.
Right.
There's no right or wrong answers. You know what? If somebody decides that they want to do something a particular way, it's good. It's good. At least they're taking action, and they'll get feedback right away. I use the OODA loop analogy with a lot of our mentoring acting captains. And, it seems so simple, and it's a no fucking brainer that they're like, okay, Gab, let's fucking move on. Let's move on. But I like it.
But applying it and learning is different. Yeah.
Well, applying shit under stress is a different ball game altogether, man. When you've got people screaming, crying, carrying on, and it affects you mentally. And if you're not fucking human.
Who prepared you for being a captain when you decided to write? Who were your mentors?
Dude, I had one of the best mentors ever. Well, I had a lot, but guys in particular that I can think of is one is Pete Thompson, an old Inglewood guy, still around. He's in his 70s, still riding the trucks, dude. He's a monster, and you know what? He was cool, calm, collected, great guy, and I took a lot from him. But you know what? Gano as well, man. Gano was a great guy. Again, Inglewood seems to be
the hub,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
Fucking Mandy, man. But yeah, no, that's the hub, man. And a lot of those the guys from Inglewood, man, they've been around.
It's that rural get it done mentality, right?
Oh yeah. Let's get her done.
Do more with less. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's been many a guys.
Right.
And it's not just the captains. A lot of the guys from the floor, the ideas that they presented were much like senior officers or great leaders. So I took a lot of good stuff from those guys as well, and have applied it to being, to working towards being an officer.
Mm-hmm. So something like the OODA loop or these decision-making techniques, was that something that you were introduced to by your mentors? Did you find it later and realize that it was a name for something that they were already doing? When did you come upon more of these decision-making tactics? Did you come into that later on your own?
You know what? When it comes to the OODA loop, that was just something that, I'm interested in how we react under stress. So I searched it out, man. I had to search it out. I'm reading a lot through situational awareness. Our Gastaway, great guy. I love listening to what he has to say about, how we react under stress and decision making. There's all kinds of books about it. So yeah, no, I kept reading it and applying things. How do you apply and do your job under stress? You know what? It's it was trial and error in a lot of ways.
Were you like that as a rookie into those things, or when did that digging process start?
You know what? I guess that digging process started once I got promoted.
Did you have realizations now running calls as a captain? And you're like, I got to know some more, and is that what the catalyst was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. It was that plus working with a lot of up and coming captains or mentoring captains, and they were asking about what's an international? So I studied, man. I studied a shit ton, but it doesn't tell me what to do. No, it doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't fucking tell you what to do whatsoever. But you got to frame the problem, man. Frame the problem and apply a solution, and you'll get feedback right away. I just started reading. I started reading. The recognition prime decision making model was really the one that's been used most often. But it was, here's a picture of what you have. Go. What's your decision? What are you going to do? But just by showing a picture, it doesn't give you the full picture. You've got to take that picture and take all four sides, and that becomes like a little snippet in time. And then in 2 minutes, that picture will change.
Right.
It's either getting better or it's getting worse. So, and then I just you get guys just going through that. And I did that myself. Okay, so where am I at with the fire, the building, the smoke, the air, the heat, the flames, and use that type of reading the fire model as well. And just kept applying it every 2 minutes. Where am I at? Where am I at? What's changing? Is it getting better? Is it not?
And you brought that to people's minds, getting back, to the SRD, right? When you structured the drills, right? You would have them deploy.
Yeah.
You'd give them a picture.
Yes.
They would choose one of the 5 SRDs and start rolling it out. And then as the captain's walking around the back of whatever you had pylons out, they would walk around to the back of the pylons, which would be the Charlie side, and you would hand them another card.
Yeah.
And they would look at that picture and say, okay, this is what you have now. What do you do? And you'd have them call an audible. So you were kind of in the, really, thinking about it now, in the absence of a formal officer development program, through these opportunities, you were sort of, running an informal officer development program for yourself and for others.
Yeah, I never really thought of it that way, but I guess you could. Yeah, I don't think of it that way. Yeah, it's a real down and dirty tactical decision game, and it allows the guys to put in the reps, like running a tower, put in the reps of actually making radio communications, giving orders, adapting and adjusting to changing conditions. And dude, we're not easy on guys. You got to be tough on everybody, because at the end of the day, talk doesn't get you through a bad situation. You got to be able to, walk the walk.
Right.
Yeah. It may sound fucking cliche, but at the end of the day, you know what? The proof's in the pudding, man. Yeah, either you do it or you don't.
Yeah, you succeed or you don't.
Yeah.
And really what you were doing is getting guys acclimated to remove. I think what hinders a lot of people from making decisions is the fear of making the wrong decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you just get people, dude, there's nothing at stake right now. Just make a decision.
Yeah.
Next time, make another decision. And you just get them used to making decisions, right?
Exactly. You know what? Make a decision, follow through, but if it's not going your way, adjust.
You don't have to stick to it.
You don't have to stick to it. Adapt, adjust, be flexible in your approach, and make another decision. Yeah, it may seem kind of crazy. Hey, fuck, you know what? This is what I'm doing. It's not working. Let's try something else.
Right.
But that's how it works, man.
At any position in the service.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? The great thing about this that tactical decision game that we were just talking about with the pylons and everything is that after you do it a few times, it forces you to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, man, you know what do I need to work on? And if you are a perfectionist, if you want to be a world fucking champ, hey, you know what? You are gonna, take those little things to heart. You're gonna adjust. Right. You're gonna make yourself better. All right, you know what? I got to work on my radio, man. My radio work sucks. Or, you know what? I'm using a soft voice with a bunch of, Class A animals. These guys don't respond to gentle. Right. They respond to aggressive, well, not so much aggressive, but assertive.
Assertive is a key.
Assertive orders. Sure. And if you've done it with these guys a million times, everybody knows what you're made of, and they'll start respecting you for it. Hey, you fucking make a mistake, no big deal. You'll get better. You'll get better.
So working with crews that you've had, how have they acclimated to you and this drive? Right, like we started off talking about the Kool-Aid, and so you have this end goal of where you believe in your heart you want your crew to be, or a crew to be. It's sometimes a longer play than just one statement, and this is the way it's going to be.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, tactics, respect. How have you started with assessing a crew? And no crew's perfect, so there's always going to be something that you can offer to make people better, and you kind of gotta remove all these layers, these barriers to sort of get them to come along with you, right, and believe in you. So how have you done that? How do you approach if we just drop you in a new crew now? Like how do you approach that?
Well, you know what? Initially, you know what? I'm not there to make significant changes. The ball's already rolling, man, and they're already a team. My job really is just to become a part of that team, acclimate. Much like when I was a rookie, man. These guys are good. They're good. They're smart. They got everything going for them. I just need to be a part of the team, get with the program. So how do I do that? Dude, by doing what they're doing. I'll do the dishes. I do this. I'll do that. That's fine. But when it comes to training, I also get involved. I'll lead by example. And then I'll demonstrate it. I'll show it. Then I want them to show me. We have collaborative talks, and these collaborative talks will then be, how could we have done better? And it's really just the feedback portion. Getting involved, being a part of the crew. I don't want them to be the ones that just drive the team. I'm part of the team. I'll help drive the team.
That's your role.
That's my role. And I'm a firm believer of, you know what, let's get our shit done. Let's work hard. Let's be good at what we do. And let's play hard.
Right. Yeah.
Both, because it's got to be a balance of both.
Sure. What's your first talk? Obviously, they're going to be different, but what would be, you come in a new hall, or say you get a new rookie or a new firefighter, and those might be two different talks, but what are your first talks like, just to sort of introduce yourself? We're a bigger department now, so people don't know pedigree, they don't know you personally, so you get dropped in you've got new people you've never met, they've never met you. What's your first talk like? What do you say? First
discussion, you know what? Who I am, what I like to do. You know, a lot of people they've got preconceived ideas. Keep an open mind, man. Keep an open mind. Let's play. We are gonna train, you know, but we're also gonna have a good time.
So do you introduce yourself, like you let them know about you personally first before you get to the work side of things?
Not really. My personal life is my personal life, man. Yeah. I work hard outside of the department all the time. And not just work hard, but I volunteer. I do a lot of different things, but guys don't need to know that, sure. Really. Not right off the hop. Yeah. I'm kind of private that way, but sure. As we get to know each other, all those layers start peeling back.
Sure.
Like, you know me. I come across as maybe a little rougher around the edges, but you know, I'm going to keep it that way. It's a facade. It's a facade. So,
it works well, man.
Yeah. It's a facade.
It's part of you. Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
So you let them know you're going to train hard.
Yeah, we're going to train hard, play hard, and at the end of the day, we're going to be the best team in the city.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
you set the bar.
I set the bar, and I use the combat challenge as an example all the time, because that to me is the epitome of if you want to be the best in the world, you really gotta look at the fine details, and the only way to get good at that is to sometimes pick yourself apart. Nobody's good at everything, but collectively as a group, and I tell these guys all the time, collectively as a group, man, we're unfucking stoppable.
Right.
And that's my approach.
So you remove the fear, just like you were trying to with captains and mentoring. You're removing the fear of making decisions. You remove the fear of them making a mistake in front of you.
Right. I want them to make
your
mistakes.
Your goal is,
Yeah, I want you to make mistakes.
Let's make them all the time.
Exactly.
And let's talk about it. I'm not going to hammer you into the ground for making the mistake.
Oh, dude, you see these guys. The guys I'm with right now, they're fucking wolves too.
Right.
Oh, I make a mistake, they're all over me. It's ice cream. It's this, it's that.
Right. So the same rules apply to you that apply to everyone else.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm no different than anybody else, man. I'm in the same game, same place. I'm part of the team. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I don't mind making mistakes in front of the guys. It's all good. So let's try something new. You know, it could be the pushing a 65 or a 45 two-man bottle lock. Dude, First couple times I tried it, I fucking near died. I did. Right. You and I did it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it ain't easy. And you know what? I don't mind doing it in front of, 10, 15, 20 people. Don't matter. Yeah, so what? It takes me a little bit longer. I'm a little bit older. Better looking, but...
Always better and better, man. Well, I've personally found that too, right? Once I got out of my own way with a fear of... I think sometimes we're afraid of, well, if I don't know it perfectly, then I don't want to do it imperfectly in front of people. But as soon as you're like, I'll put my hand up, I'm first in. Like, whatever happens, I'm going to do it. And you get by that ego, like you said, a little bit, that fear.
Yeah, ego's a killer.
And you're not going to do it perfect, maybe even every time. And the more you do that, the cleaner the delivery is going to be. That was like teaching my first recruit class versus my fifth recruit class, right? Like the fifth class gets the
first one's pretty rough.
Yeah, the fifth class gets the A game, right? Because you've got this nailed down. You're teaching 2 a year, and techniques are kind of the same way, right?
Mm-hmm. But the tasks are all part of the tactics, and you know what? If you got 4 guys that aren't on point and don't know exactly what's going on as a whole and how the big picture is put together, you know what? It's not going to work.
Have you faced any pushback, and how do you deal with that? So you feel like you're coming across in the most respectful way you can, right? You're doing what you do, and your heart's in the right place. You have the best intentions, and you still get pushback. How do you deal with that?
Well, not so good. Yeah, not so good.
Right.
When we were doing our ventilation talks, depending on who you're talking to, some people, again, have the blinders on and they're not open to, say, science and how these are hard and fast rules, concepts that you can't argue the shit. It's like arguing gravity. Listen, learn, and let's actually come away with some golden nuggets.
Right.
And that's been my approach, man. I don't want to pussyfoot around, what we're here for. Let's just get the job done. Let's have some fun with it. Let's have a few laughs. We'll work hard and we'll play hard. The majority of guys respond well, and it's not a mean tone. It's not a bad tone.
No,
it's just
it's a realistic tone.
It's realistic, man.
Yeah.
At any moment, the tones could go off, and I want you to be armed and prepared. It's like getting ready for a fight, dude. And I get all fucking jacked up, ready to go.
You do. Well, speaking of that, so we talked about chess there briefly, and we'll introduce you to Go. I don't even know much about it, but we'll delve into that together. We'll delve into that together. You can teach me chess, and then we'll both tackle Go. How about that? Deal?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
When did that come on the scene?
Let's see. I'd say it started, I think I'm in my 8th year now.
Okay.
Jesse, my son and I, we started together, and we've been going through the ranks from white to blue to purple.
Right. Was he the first one to bring it up, or were you brought him into it, or?
Dude, he was the one that brought it to me. He's like, Dad, I'd like to try out some MMA, and we started with the Muay Thai, and then went into jiu-jitsu. He was the one that was the catalyst for it. Really, I was into the combat at the time, and you know what? He pulled me in a different direction,
right.
And one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because hey, fuck, man, we're best friends. We're father son. Plus, he's a fireman too.
Yeah, in the same department. Yeah.
No, so the jiu-jitsu's awesome though.
So did you get hooked for the same reason? Like I remember Steve-O was telling me recently, he's like, dude, you got to get in on this. Like, like, well, I got some things to settle down, and then I think this might be an avenue I'll take. But it's a thinking man's game, right? That's what he was saying. It's
very much like
it's all
chess.
about technique and
beginning game, middle game, end game. You know what? Position before submission. That's what we do.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And you know what? It is a thinking man's game. And if you've got an ego, dude, it's about to be crushed.
Because it taught you even more about yourself and about other people, judging other people? Because from what I'm hearing, you can look at guys and think, I'm just going to dominate this guy.
Oh, dude, you can't
because of size.
You can't judge people.
And this guy that's half your weight would just crawl all over you.
Dude, I've got this buddy, Tim Dixon, and he's a former wrestling coach at Brock. And he was 140 pounds at the time when I was like peak physical condition, running the combat,
right.
Just killing the shit.
Yeah.
Right?
And what did you weigh at the time?
I was I don't know, maybe 190.
Okay, so you got some weight.
190, fucking solid.
Sure.
Strong as anything. And this guy fucking dominated. He beat me up bad. And it wasn't just once. It was like years. It was years. But
did you get angry and frustrated in the beginning? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. Why can't I get this guy?
No, I knew it's very simple, man. It's leverage and technique. And this guy, he was spot on.
He had to be, I guess, right? Because he was wrestling guys your size.
Yeah. So you know what? He had put in the hours. 15, 20 years.
Wow.
Of every day, every other day, training with not just little guys, but guys, 3 times his size. And he'd walk circles around guys. And as Sonia puts it, it's like, folding, laundry, except you're in it.
You're the two socks being folded inside out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Man.
And then so you were just mentioning before we got started about the last guy that you rolled with, that you got slammed with. What did he weigh on you?
He was he's down from 360 down to 320.
Well, he's leaning out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're wrestling a guy that's over twice your weight.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
And it
or 380, no, almost twice. Yeah, my math's bad there.
Yeah, the young fella, we're at different levels in our game, but the sheer size of the guy, he's just a monster, man. Just a monster. And yeah, he landed on me. I think I threw out my back. It's been a while, but it's getting better. I went last night, Jesse and I, so we're doing okay.
And he rolls with you too, right?
Oh yeah, the kid's a beast. He's much like my buddy Tim. He's not very big, but yeah, he turned you inside out. So yeah, and you know what? He reminds me all the time. He says, "Hey, Dad, you ready?" I turned you inside out.
Is this a way that you talk a lot about the ego? Is this the way that you approach life and keep your own ego in check by constantly putting yourselves in these situations that the humility is going to come? If it's something I know I'm going to suck at, let's do it, because it keeps you in check, right?
Yeah, I've got certain things that I'm really good at, and you know what? And people say, "Well, why you're so good at that?" I was like, well, you know what? No, I just practiced a little bit more.
Sure.
There should be no ego at anything. And if anything, I'm just grateful all the time to be in the moment and be with guys that or people that I appreciate, and just keep going. Ego is a killer, man. And if you've got an ego, yeah, I don't even really want to be in your company, because you're your own worst enemy. You ain't learning nothing.
So do you tend to approach, techniques are techniques, tactics are tactics. You can talk details, but when you're faced with someone, anybody, and you're teaching them, right, instructing them, do you try and, is it always, the lighthouse is the lighthouse is the opening up the mind conceptually to getting out of their own way? Is that always sort of in the back of your mind? You may not be verbalizing it, but is that where you're trying to bring them, because you realize the rest will come? Absolutely.
You know what? They have an idea. So they may have read about things. They may have some ideas as to what it is that they're doing, but maybe not have practiced it that much. So my job really is just to get them to try things. And then if I see a direction that we could go, I just merely adjust and ask them to try something. And if they do that, and they have this eureka moment or this light bulb moment, and they say, hey, fuck, you know what? That actually worked better for me. I'm going to try that. And then we'll do that a little bit more. And then we just take that same evolution or whatever and we just tweak it slightly again. And then eventually you've incorporated, say, 3 little skills within that task that you're doing. And man, you're off the fucking charts good. If they've got egos, then they're like, yeah, done. I'm out. I've checked out already. Right. But if they don't have the egos, they're good. But most of the junior guys coming on, that they want to learn. I'm starting to find out more and more that, and they'll tell you, you know what, I may not be strong at this, Cap. Hey, no problem, man. I'm your guy. I'm gonna work with you. And we'll do it 1,000,000 fucking times. I don't care, and I'll do it with you, because I like to do shit too. I don't want to just stand back and talk about shit. I want to do it. I want to work up a sweat, man. Let's work out.
Let's roll, right?
Yeah.
So you and I are of the age where we were on the job without the internet, or the starting of it, basically.
Yeah.
And then that came to play. So how much did that, that access all of a sudden to all this information. Like when you started digging, you're probably digging, you're reading books, you're at the library, yeah. And all of a sudden you've got everything at your fingertips. Like, was that like a total like mind-blowing moment where you realized how much was actually out there? And
dude, I'm YouTube fucking certified.
Yeah. So yeah,
I YouTube all kinds of shit.
So are you using that with your crews, with your guys? Like talking about is one thing, but let's watch it. Let's watch actual fires. Mm-hmm. You can say what you want to say, but here's an actual call, and here's what it looks like. Do you find it makes it your end goal easier? Because around the kitchen table, without proof in front of them, a lot of guys can say a lot of things happen, but when you watch it happen in real time, for me, I've found it's just like, you can't argue this. Watch it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's good and bad. I don't actually do a lot of the YouTube videos with the crews. It's more predominantly like it's military tactics. How do the Marines do it? How does the Air Force do particular things? Because they've done it a million fucking times. The fire videos would be just strictly for, reading the fire. What's happening? What's changed? What's burning? What's the color of the smoke? How's it changing?
Going to happen?
What's going to happen? So right. It's really about forecasting and predicting. To see what somebody's doing in another department and then try to emulate that, and it's not what we do here, then I find it can be detrimental, because we got 400 guys on one page, and now you want to make an adjustment where we're no longer on the same page. That don't fucking work either. Right. So I like them. I like the internet. I think it's good and bad, and my mind is blown. Because, man, I'm watching fucking jiu-jitsu videos all the time.
Did that lead you, though, so when you discovered, say, and very often the Western, it's all the Western world, but I mean, here in North America, right, there's certain tactics that are dominating. And then you look at a place like Sweden, right?
Yeah.
And what they're doing and the gas cooling. And, they seem to be really ahead of us as far as decon goes. Like we could, take a lot of pages out of the book there, but... for me, what I perceived when you brought all this to me and sort of let me into your world, like it blew my mind. And what I took away was that you saw something that's different, and instead of just ignoring it and saying that's not what we do and learning more and more about what we do, you wanted to know all of it.
Yeah,
it's like I want to know why they do what they do. Like we may not ever use it. But am I reading that right?
You know what, you're spot on, brother.
Yeah.
So 3D firefighting, Grimwood, the guy's a fucking legend out in the UK.
Right.
And, him, Harton, and a few others. And they fight fires with 3/4-inch high-pressure lines. They go into the same burning buildings that we do.
Right.
And they gas cool on their way to putting out a fire. And as they gas cool, and it's just the smoke that they're fighting. So 3D... firefighting is about controlling the smoke initially, but as they spray into this misting into the smoke, it actually cools it and it condenses it so that the smoke lifts. So unlike us, where we've got say high heat, zero vis, and it's right down to the floor, our gas cooling isn't as efficient. The North American way isn't as efficient as it is, say, for them out in the UK.
But you applied that mentality to well, how do we? And this is really when you look at fields, like they're a bit diametrically opposed, but overpowering with water and cool, it still cools as you go. The smooth bore mentality, like. So what I'm saying is you took all of this together and then looked at what we do, and it's like, how do we use parts of what they do and incorporate it into how we tackle things, right?
Absolutely, man. Like if you're tunnel vision and only do it one way, you're not looking at the big picture. Right. So if you can look at the bigger picture, how does everybody do it throughout North America, throughout the Europe, China, the Asians, whatever? There's different ways of doing things. So maybe they have one little simple thing that they do that would add to our game.
So that's what you're always looking for. You'll delve into, overwhelming amount of information, panning for gold.
Panning for gold.
Yeah.
Golden nuggets, man.
Right, yeah.
I love that. I'm going to use panning for gold at this point forth. But yeah, you know what? If you're not open to new things, how are you supposed to ever get better? So yeah, no, I'm always looking for how we can improve, and when you think of how they do it in the UK again and how we do it here, and then you combine it so that we can make ourselves better as a whole, and then we become the people that or the department that is at the forefront is the leader, and much like Incident Command in Phoenix.
Right.
Okay, you know what? They delved into it.
There's a reason why that name. That's the reason why that name's in our minds. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, why the fuck can't they be thinking about us? Well, hey, we've got to be. We've got to challenge. The way we look at things. We have to, ask questions and try things. If you don't try fucking things, you're always going to be, stagnant. You're just going to be that guy that follows, or the monkey that follows the next guy. I don't want to be that guy. No, I want to try different things.
So how long were you a captain before it sort of came to your mind that maybe DC, like your district chief, was?
Okay, here we go.
It is, yeah, and you said yourself it wasn't necessarily like maybe you were balking at it a while because it wasn't your style. Like getting off the trucks and having your hands not on tools is a huge shift, right? Like, but what I'm reading from it is that the draw is like it's all about instant action plans, the tactics, the strategy. It's all what it's about. Is that what drew you in? Like what was the
initially? Yeah, it was being in command. Absolutely, I'd like to be playing the game of chess, and I have 5-6 trucks plus the manpower to get the job done. Mm-hmm. But you know what, Scotty, I pulled my name out of the hat when it came to being a district chief because it wasn't hands on. I'd lost contact with my crew, and it became more administrative, and I'm not involved in the action. I'm not involved in pulling hose. I'm not involved in throwing ladders, cleaning tools, doing the shit that I like to do. And it all of a sudden, I'm driving into work and I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, you know what? I'm not happy about this.
Right.
So it was about just being honest with myself and self-reflection and saying, fuck, you know what? I really appreciate everything that you did for me, Fowler and Claire and Pete and all these guys, Dimitrov. These guys helped mold me. I could still do it, but it's not for me. And I really appreciate everything that they did for me, man.
Right.
Everything. They put their time into me.
Yeah, but how are you going to know?
Yeah. So,
unless you do that. You got to go through the process, right?
Yeah. Get up to the plate and swing.
Right.
Yeah, put yourself out there. Hey, pick me. I'll try it.
And it had aspects of it that were attractive to you.
For sure, absolutely.
Do you think if you were in command of fires or larger scenes often, weekly, that you would be more attracted to it?
Absolutely, barring that maybe I could make some adjustments.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always
Yeah. You know what? I'm not a huge fan of just sitting in the car. I remember talking to this battalion chief out in New York City, and I said, man, first off, the conversation started, well, how do you manage that many people and the overflow on radio traffic? He says, it's easy, man. First off, you sector off, and then you assign all these trucks to the sector. Mm-hmm. So you're only talking to one guy. So, and he wouldn't be stuck in the car. He would move to a forward position where he would have his accountability to his right. And then he would have a safety officer, and he'd have somebody else there working the radios with him. He was like a general at the forefront. I don't know. Stuck in the car is not for me, dude. I can't do it.
But a lot of guys, I mean, they may, and this shows just different personalities. Some like the quiet and the isolation. I guess where some people study and they thrive on, when you're studying information, they need music going, and the more stimulus, the better, right? And then you've got guys that need it dead silent.
Oh yeah.
So maybe there's these guys that needed dead silent to focus, where you don't mind the trucks running and the hoses flowing and
I like the chaos.
The wind in your face and the rain on your.
Yeah, man, I dig the chaos. It's so good. That's where I want to be.
Right.
Is solving problems, but again, you know what? At the end of the day, even if I was at that forefront, I'm not on the tools, man. The other day we had a commercial property fire. I'm on the roof where we've got the K-12 and it's running. It's for cutting holes. We're checking for extension, putting out fire. And I look down and there's the chief in the car. I'm like, that's it. That's why I did it right there, man.
Decision made, yeah.
Yeah, decision made.
So you just know where your happiness lives.
My happy place is with the crew. It's my family outside of my family. You know what? I've been extremely blessed to get to this point. So yeah, I'm super happy with the crews, and I like meeting the other guys from the surrounding halls and joint training, co-training. Dude, it's the best. I don't even call it a job. It's not a job to me. Mansell just recently says, dude, it's not a job, it's a calling. It is, because no matter what, I leave the station, I'm the same fucking dude.
Yeah, that is 100% true.
I'm the same dude. No matter what, I'm going to be a fireman. Right through to the day I die.
Even when you retire.
Yep.
How many years you got left?
I can go in 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, how's that feel?
It makes me feel old. The end of my tape measure, yeah.
Yeah.
2023 is, that's the early, and 2028 is the late.
What do you see yourself doing after you're done? Do you see yourself instructing? Do you want to still stay involved in the service? Are you going to say, I've been there, done that, and I've done my part, and I need to move on? Or
I have thought about it. Jesse and I have talked about maybe opening up a jiu-jitsu gym. Okay. I'm thinking Collingwood might be prime, dude.
Hey, yeah. I would love to have you here. I'll welcome wagon that for sure.
Yeah, no, we've talked a bit about that. Once I retire, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, dude, other than travel and
Is fire part
jiu-jitsu.
of it, though?
I do have a passion for coaching and teaching firefighting. Who knows? I probably will, man.
Get into the college aspect of it and teach brand new people? And
maybe, yeah. The brand new guys, I love them, but they're so green. I would prefer to work with guys that have, are seasoned.
Right.
Seasoned, and then just take those little fine skills and just adjust slightly. It's just fine tune.
So maybe get to be a part of an external private company that does some teaching, and guys can take courses. And
I would say maybe possibly.
Yeah. Is there a topic that you'd focus in on more than another?
The fire behavior, it comes to mind.
Yeah.
Ventilation comes to
You
mind.
ran on a squad for a long, long time. Would you want to do that too? Or
squad work? Yeah. You know what, though? You got guys like O'Blennis, man. They're off the charts good.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. There's a guy you should have here.
I will. I got a long list, man.
Yeah. Dave Lee, another great fucking dude.
Mm-hmm.
Super fucking smart.
Yes.
Super smart. And a great leader. Just to mention him, when I first got promoted, he was the leader of the station. Leadership just doesn't come from captains. It comes from the guys on the floor. And they can be the driving force. And if you can harness that, if you can read your crews and harness those powerful little leaders, man, nothing is impossible. You can do all kinds of stuff with these guys.
Do you think we need a lieutenant title?
I think so. Well, I think your acting captains, they could be your lieutenants. Again, whether you got captains, lieutenants, or not, that one senior fire guy in the station who's really your go-to guy, guys are going to him to talk to him before they'd even go speak to the captain. And that's just the way it is, because there's that trust, right? But a lot of leadership just comes from the fire guys, those senior fire guys, man. Sometimes it's a junior. But
if you're approachable, right?
If you're approachable, yeah. I've learned a lot from everybody, man. From the chiefs right down through to your Proby fire guys. If you got no ego, dude, you can pick up a lot of shit from a lot of people.
Now that we've got the fundamentals solidified, you're never done with them. What do you see as our next challenges?
Well, you know what? I think radio communications, just radio work in general, is a big deal. We're given these radios, but at the end of the day, have you really paid attention to your pitch, tone, clarity, microphone positioning? We're not evaluated. There's no performance measure, so we really don't know whether or not we're any good on the radio. No fault to our own, because we've switched our breathing apparatus, our masks, our radios have changed. Have we really worked with the guys to fine-tune and tweak their radio comm?
And do you think that a lot of firefighters, like, they know they have a radio?
Yeah.
It's sort of there as their... if they need to call Mayday,
yeah,
but the captain they always see is, look, they're the one that make all the radio transmissions, so they don't speak on it.
Well, that's the thing. It could be anybody, right? So if the captain's down, hey man, step up to the plate. You can't take your gloves off, and let's just say you got zero viz, but you can't communicate. Now with your gloves on, switch it to talk around. Now make that radio transmission. It's a lot tougher than it sounds. And unless you've orientated your radio and you've done all your shit, and you actually are familiar with it, it's going to be a very tough thing for you to do. That should be on the forefront.
Communications.
And it's an individual thing with each captain. How do you know that you're any good unless you've got feedback from somebody? What we've been doing recently, and I'm working with the guys on this, rather than me tell you what's happening. How about your crew? I'll just have you make a couple radio transmissions on air. Grab your mic, make your radio transmission out. Your crew will tell you not whether or not they can hear you or they can't. Because then it becomes peer pressure. Nobody wants to look bad in front of their crew. But hey, you got no ego, no big fucking deal. Well, fuck, how come you didn't tell me before, guys? You're making me look like an idiot.
Right. Why don't you try it then?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But guys
it's easy from the peanut gallery. Yeah.
Guys are saying, holy fuck, okay, now I know. All of a sudden you're at the fire scene and that same guy is making the radio transmissions and you can actually hear what they're saying. And the DC's not saying, radio calling, repeat your message. Yeah. Because that's a fucking time killer. You're going to get me all fired up.
That's the whole point, yeah. So high-rise communications.
I think, you know, the fire behavior has to be revisited. There's ways that we can control the exchange of air, like door control, which is a big thing that, you know what, I thought we dialed in on it, but I guess we didn't.
Well, I mean, it's an actual legitimate black and white tactic that certain departments use. So like we do this, right?
Yeah.
We're more of a, flow as you go.
For sure.
So instead of controlling the air, you're controlling the heat. So, again, you're just messing with the fire triangle, right? Which one do you want to deal with?
Absolutely.
And it's a manpower thing too, right?
So manipulating and controlling the fire triangle, I think really that's something that we could be better at. Not everybody, has the opportunity of having a second truck in, third truck in right away. So, and man, we got these aerials, 280 gallon. We flood a line and we start flowing. Man, we run out of water real fucking quick.
You do, yeah.
Real quick.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, those aerials as frontline trucks.
Oh, man.
Right? There's a lot of reasons why,
yeah.
ladders for those in the States.
Take the tank out of it. Take the tank out of it. Make us a ladder company.
Yeah, there's a reason why the States do it the way they do it.
I know.
It's efficient.
First doing, two engine companies. What are they doing? They're positioning lines, bringing in a second to back it up.
Right.
There's a lot of good things that we could pick up from other people, considering this is the direction we're going.
As opposed to being dismissive and saying, "Oh, that's cowboy, that's this." It's again, it's dismissive and not inclusive, and you miss out on those positive things you could pull from.
You know what? And then we can really hone in on our skills. If you're not an engine guy, not pulling lines, no worries. I'll be your ventilation guy. I'll be your forcible entry guy. Right. I'll do your search and rescue. No biggie.
What about being a department that drills? How do you see being this long play? How would you see us or a department trying to get a whole department to be a department that drills? Because it seems to be crew dependent.
It is crew dependent.
And I'm sure we're not the only department.
You got to get everybody on board, man. It's got to.
How do we do that? Like, I know we're spitballing here. I'm putting you on the spot, but between you and me, like everybody listening, we can, figure out some things. How do we do that? How do we get our department there?
I think you have to have performance measures. I know in some European departments, what they do is they have outside evaluators come in and they test their officers on a daily basis. This wouldn't happen to us because we've got a very strong union, but if you're tested and you don't meet the standards, say 2, 3, 4 years down the road, you get this color designation, say green for, hey man, you're going to be 2 years before you're next evaluated. If you're in the orange, you're 6 months.
Wow.
And if you're in the red, you totally shit the bed. You're pulled off the trucks and you're sent to training.
Kind of like a food pass fail, close down. Yeah.
You know what? Have performance measures in place and say, okay, hey, Cap, I need your crew to do these 5 evolutions, and it has to be very specific in nature. Here's your time that's associated with it. If you don't meet the grade, this is what's going to happen. And have consequences. You set that in motion, and you put a consequence to it. Holy shit. Guess what? Everybody's drilling and everybody's practicing.
And then offer the support and the feedback. So at the beginning of do you use like a calendar year? Like, so okay, New Year's hits, you hit January. You're like, here's what I see because you've just done performance appraisals. So let's go from that and we'll come back to it. So you hit January hits, you've done these performance appraisals. You're like, here's the goals for the crew or for you individually. This is what I expect. And then do you lead them do you see that as a cycle towards performance appraisal? Because I believe that some captains might just see, well, performance appraisals happen at the end of the year, and then it's all this negative feedback about stuff, whether they even do it or not, but sometimes it's a negative feedback on all the stuff that they didn't do. Meanwhile, you didn't set the expectation or give them any help to get there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you approach expectations on an annual basis and performance appraisals, and then follow back. What's your OODA loop for people?
I keep a running list of, like, we call it credits and infractions. And it's just a documentation so that when I do the performance appraisals, it's really copy and paste. Some people are stronger at certain things than others. My job is really to find out where those discrepancies are and bring people up to speed. As far as setting the training for the year, I'm working more towards what's our high risk, low frequency type calls where we're in the most amount of danger. For med calls, we've got our SRD, and when we have, say, chemo patients, patients with communicable diseases, how do I deal with that? So we can go through violence,
weapons,
fire, man. That's a low frequency, high risk situation, and it's evolved and changed, and we don't practice it enough. So I tend to spend a lot of time on that all the time, all year round.
And so from these overarching idea, then you're pulling individually credits and infractions,
absolutely,
in a way to offer them something at the end of the year to help them improve.
Well, and that it identifies, say somebody has a real weakness at something, then we can draw on that little piece of information, and over the course of, say, 4 or 5 months, we just work on those little soft skills so that the next time we do our training, hey man, the guy's shining, he's off the charts good. It's a commitment. It takes time, and you got to keep practicing. So yeah, I spent a lot of time doing it, man. Those kind of things all year round. Ladders is another big one. We don't do it enough. You do your 360, and hey man, there's somebody hanging out of a window. Boom, you better be on fucking point. So,
and that was another thing you brought to our department was the fixed halyard.
Oh yeah.
Right. Which just made so much. That again was another thing that was like, how has this not always been this way?
Yeah. And
that changed things for me. It got me into drilling ladders and throwing 24s by myself. Like that was, again, you make one small change like that, and that's what I've always appreciated so much. And then it allows people to grab that one small thing, and it opens up so much more for them.
Yeah.
But the fixed halyard, that was another.
Yeah, that was a good one. I ran into a guy at the FDIC. Great thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what? Everybody should be going to that convention at least once in their life.
Yeah.
And I ran into this guy. He was doing a book signing in Mittendorf. An old guy. He was a ladder guy in LA for 40 years. And I said, hey man, I got a problem, and I'd like to run it by you. And I told him about our ladders and how long it takes us to do an evolution. Using 3 men to position a ladder. To me, it's kind of unacceptable to take a minute and a half to position a ladder. It should be unacceptable
with 3 people.
With 3 people. So he asked me a pile of questions about how we do our processes, and I explained it to him. And he says, "Listen, don't change a thing, other than the way you do your halyard. Don't tie the ladder together. Here's how you do it. Here's the book. I'm going to give the book to you."
Come on.
Yeah. So he signs it and does the whole thing. And he says, "Just do this one little thing, and it will change the game." And it
changed it for me.
It was so small in nature.
So that's really cool. Here you have a 40-year guy.
Yeah.
Who you could classify as an expert on a topic.
Mm-hmm.
You come to him with a problem. The first thing he does is start asking you questions.
Yeah.
He doesn't just say, "Okay, sit down, son. I'm going to tell you how this is." Like he asks you questions.
Yeah.
To get to know you and your situation better.
Absolutely.
And then just offers one small thing.
One small thing.
How amazing is that?
It is. It is pretty amazing.
That stuff gives me goosebumps when you know what I mean? That's the real deal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you know what? It's no different than Aaron Fields working with a group, right?
Sure.
And he sees something in you and he says, "Hey man, here's one little thing I'm going to give you." And it's a gift. And next thing you know, you're doing and repeating that action, and it becomes a game changer. You're a world champ. Pull in line. For
you and for other people, yeah.
For you and for other people. Yeah. And then next thing you know, man, you're passing that on. I remember showing it to Clark, and I showed him the fixed halyard tie-off, and he's like, "It's a game changer. Why haven't we been doing this?"
Right. Do you keep check on things like that? Like, what else are we not doing that we could be doing better? And do you you're constantly doing a reassessment, and then you might go to something and you pick it apart, and it is what we still should be doing, and then you move on to the next thing, right?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're stagnant, you're checking out. So no matter what the processes are, it's even if it's something that we're really good at, like super good at, you can always find something, and even if it's just a small tweak, you're just making yourself better. And then just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. And you know what? You'll be the best at what you do. I always refer to the combat challenge again, but those little details change everything. And if you practice it, man, you become a world champ. It sounds so cliche, but it's fucking true.
You had great advice along the way. You had great mentors. It sounds to me you've had a really idyllic, like great experience entering the service, being introduced to it, shown the right path, sort of hinging on what you just said. As perfect as something can be, there's always something that you could probably tweak to make it better. So even if you looked back now on what you may feel is, and honestly, it's true, you had all the right information, all the right leaders. Is there anything that you would go back and tell your 5-year on self, 10-year on self, 15-year, like, is there anything that you tell yourself along the way?
No, man.
No?
I would do it exactly the same way. Hop on the coattails of the very best guys in the room and learn as much as you can from them, and then adapt, adjust, and keep tweaking, man. Again, it doesn't have to be the most senior guy. It could be the rookie on the crew, man. He just brings something to the table, and you got to learn those little things and make it your own. Make it your own, but make it. I don't want to say make it better, but take that knowledge, learn it, commit it to memory, and then keep improving, man.
Have you thought about volunteering?
Yeah, for sure. Of course I would. I'm not sure, where I'd volunteer or whether or not I'm going to stay in Caledon or move further north. I don't need to be on a volunteer station. I could volunteer at the church. I could volunteer.
I see. Yeah. So not just necessarily volunteering for fire.
Yeah. And
volunteering in your community.
Just volunteering, just being a part of the team and constantly, helping people out. I think that's really our makeup. That's why we do what we do anyways, is to help people.
Have you been involved in a lot of that aspect of the job?
You know what? It started out a little slow initially. We used to do the bingos. I used to get accosted by all the old birds. They'd grab my butt.
You loved it.
I did. It was great. It was great. But yeah, from the bingos to the boot drives, it's just about everything. And you know what? Not all the time, but when I can, I'm out. But it's not just that. It's the next door neighbor whose husband just passed away. It's the church. It's wherever you're needed. And if there's somebody's in need, hey, I got a strong back, and I got a skill set. So yeah, help out wherever you can.
Thinking back on calls, and I think I've mentioned this before in a previous episode, and I think it's pretty unfair to ask someone in the service to give you like the horror highlight reel. What's the worst call? But staying away from that, it doesn't have to be a bad call. Is there a call or certain calls that were eye-openers for you, game changers for you?
There's lots of calls. At this point in my career, everything seems to kind of blend together as far as timelines and, who was there. But there's just a shit ton of them. Mm-hmm. One in particular that I'm thinking about is I was mentoring. We had Kane Demers as an acting captain. We had a house fire and 2 crews on scene. I think we were the 3rd or 4th truck in. We were RIT. Crews in multiple areas of the building. Basement and the upstairs, and they're trying to locate the fire. But as we were going through this process with the mentoring captain, cool, calm, collected, following what he needed to do. But what I was watching and what I learned from this was, as the profile of the call was unfolding, the wind, the air, it was adjusting, and the fire dynamics were changing. For me, it was working with Kane and saying, hey man, check this out. And it was just an opportunity to say, our smoke just went from light gray to black. It's under pressure. It's voluminous. It's changing. Things are getting worse. We're going to need multiple plans of action. So we had a line for the basement in case we needed to do RIT for basement. Mm-hmm. We had a line for going upstairs. Dry lines initially. Yeah. And then we start proactively putting up ladders. Ladders all over the fucking place. And it just so happened that things did get to the point where all of a sudden it changed in an instant and the fire was ready to flash. The guys called a mayday, came out of the building down these ladders. Wow. The ladders weren't there, they were jumping. That's a game changer to me. And right. It that one in particular stands out to me because First off, it was a great learning moment for our actor, and he kept cool and calm, and he did an amazing job. Also, the opportunity of having not just one, but multiple plans of action.
And just making a decision and taking action.
Yeah, and fortunately, you know what, the decisions that we made were proactive decisions. We weren't told by any chief officer to say, go to level 2. Dude, if we had to wait for somebody to tell us what to do, it would have been too late. Proactive.
Yeah, and I think that's a common thing at every level too, right? That even firefighters might. You don't want freelancing.
We don't want freelancing,
but you want action, and you don't want people just waiting to be told every single thing.
The freelancing, you know what? In this case, it wasn't freelancing.
No, not at all.
It was being proactive. It's like pulling lines, man. You pull a line too soon, guys will frown at it. But hey, you're doing your fucking job.
Right. What's the worst thing you do? Pack it back up?
Yeah, pack it back up. Exactly.
Right.
So, yeah, that one stands out in particular. There's other fires where we pull people out. They live for a little while, and then some of them have passed away. But, of course, they stand out, and they're rough to talk about. Yeah. But you get to really see what you're made of when shit is hitting the fan. Those are definitely lots of standout moments. You know, they're rough calls, but they're rough calls.
Did you find that moment, just sticking with that moment with Kane or with our mentoring and acting captain, did you find it was splitting that role into two people? Obviously, you can take in so much more information. So because you were standing back and watching the fire, not actually making the calls, were you able to, I mean, I know given your experience level now, you can take in a heap of information and make all these decisions, but did you recognize that in that moment too, that you were able to just see different things because you knew certain things were already being done? The division of stimuli.
Absolutely. You know what? First off, super competent at his job. So I already had that confidence in him. One thing I love about mentoring is I get to actually do some work. I get to throw ladders. I get to pull lines. I get to do all that shit. But in the same breath, I'm dropping, little hints.
Yes.
Here's your plan B, C, D. I'm constantly listening to the radio and working side by side with my guys, and they're making these adjustments, and I can hear them giving the orders. Incident action plans is evolving and changing to make or to supplement the chief officer's plan. And these guys are killing it, man. Not everybody, but he killed it. He killed it that day. He did really well.
I feel like what you're doing without even maybe being aware of it, and you're trying to pass on to these other people, again, maybe even subconsciously, is that you tend to approach things like it's like an art, right? Like there's an art to mentoring. This guy is standing there. He's putting himself out there. He's making these decisions, and there would be an art to giving him just enough to keep him moving forward and not overwhelming him with, like, you could yell 10 things at him. You forgot all this stuff and overwhelm him and then lock his brain up. That's a really special moment in that high stress needs to be able to drop useful stuff to somebody and have them take it in and actually make use of it.
Well, and it stays with them forever. It's a success that they carry with them.
And now you're the voice in their head for the next one.
Absolutely, man. It doesn't matter. There's been a ton of guys, but that was a great moment. Great moment. I was given a little bit of flack for not taking over the position, but you know what? At the time and during our critique, we used to do these post-fire critiques. I explained to the chief officer that at no time was he not in control.
And at no time were you not in control.
At no time was I not in control.
Right.
So that balance that we were working with, it was still good. And we had a solid crew on that truck. We drill, man. We practice. I don't want to say we were the A-team, but in our minds, if shit was going down, we're the crew to help you out.
You don't even have to label it as, if you're practicing to be an A-team and you're performing in that moment at your best. It doesn't matter how you label it.
Yeah,
you can call it whatever team you are. You're still providing the result you're providing.
Yeah, people recognize when they say A and B and C teams.
Sure they do.
Whatever.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know what? We put in the time. Out in the tarmac, out at the tower, at Orenda Road, man. We put in the time. Maybe too much Kool-Aid time.
How have you handled the flack?
It doesn't matter to me. Bring on the flack. It's all good. You guys want to bring me Kool-Aid at 2 a.m. in the morning? No problem. Just put it on the table. It's all good. And guys are doing it. I may get a little upset, but it's okay. Dude, I'm okay with it. Bring on the shenanigans.
Even the criticism from your superiors. Obviously, we're not always 100% in the right. There's probably some criticism that, and I mean, like you said, with no ego, we're going to take something away. We're probably critiquing ourselves harder than any supervisor ever would. But how does that dynamic work? Like, how do you have that conversation?
They may be at a certain level where they're very competent in their game. Whomever's giving that right. flack. But it's not just about them. Maybe I want to work with the junior guy or the mid-level or a senior officer. Collaboratively make some adjustments and make them better. So at the end of the day, the guy that's giving me the flack or anybody that says it's drinking the Kool-Aid, well, it's not just about you, pal. It's about everybody. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to bring everybody up to speed. Yeah. So maybe they're super good. I don't know.
And what advice would you give to people that are thinking of entering the service or brand new recruits that are in class right now? The generational differences. We could even, you could get into sort of labeling people as millennials or different generations are just different. Mm-hmm. So what would you, and you've raised kids. Yeah. So what would you say to them?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Try everything. Always critique, set goals, and constantly try to improve. In the fire service, it's so vast because we deal with everything. You got to be open to the fact that you're not the best at everything. Constantly learn and improve, man. Mm-hmm. Drop the ego too. You can't have an ego.
Right. Are there any moments that stand out for you through the years where you felt like I'm experiencing family right now, or this is brotherhood?
In a lot of respects, it saved my life. The fire service, it is my family outside my family, and if I've got an issue, whether I know it or not, I've got 20, 30, 40 guys that'll recognize that slight look in my eye, and they'll call. They'll grab me by the shoulder and say, "Hey man, what's going on? Like, everything cool?" That brotherhood is strong. And it's not just my guys that I'm with, it's guys outside of the station, it's the retirees. It's vast. It's a strong fraternity.
And you've done that obviously for heaps of people yourself, right? And
for sure.
So man. not being with so many committees that you're on, and so much that you've done for our department and for the service in general. Not delving into actually being a member on the peer support team, but whether we should all behave that way, and you've always exemplified it. Growing up in our department in the service, and you've seen a change in that mentality. What has that meant to you? How have you looked at how the job was done, how you were taught to do the job, how, your challenges, how you got through them? How do you tackle that?
I've always been a huge proponent of the peer support team. We used to do the post-fire critiques, and it wasn't so much to pick apart people as it was to talk and share and not lay blame. And we didn't do that often enough. And it was frowned upon, I think, by some of the senior guys, as they would look at it slightly different, but it's super important, man. When I look back over my time here, there's been some shit that's happened that, I relive on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So I think part of the brotherhood is being able to have an open communication with your boys and the gals and share shit, talk about things. Yeah, it's really good. And you and I have done it many a time.
Yeah, for each other.
Both, yeah. I know when shit's bothering you and vice versa.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think if we don't do it, we're doing ourselves a disservice. It's been really good for me. I've needed to do it. I've sought help outside the department as well at times.
Yeah, me too.
Just because I can't deal with it properly. Drinking, working too much.
Right.
The moods, the aggressiveness.
But you talked about how rolling.
Oh shit, dude.
That's
that
was a game changer for you.
Absolutely.
An outlet and a focus.
Yeah. When you relieve that stress, you're in the moment, it feels good. I'm not thinking about that baggage I may have brought home with me. I can't just leave it. Sometimes it just sticks with me, and it's tough.
Have you found a way then
in the red zone.
Yeah, have you found a way to, well, I guess you've watched yourself, just like I have, you've watched yourself go to the red, to the green, like you've watched yourself do that enough times, it will shift. Mm-hmm. You just got to find the way to get back there.
I can see it now, though.
Right.
Like now I know.
Right.
It's like, oh, fuck, you know what? I'm in the orange zone. Oh, there it is. There's the red.
But when you've been there enough times, you know that it's going to pass.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And that you're going to find a way somehow to compartmentalize it in a healthy way and
yeah,
put it
man.
in that good place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all a mindset and on how I package things, and then if there's a learning moment from it, I try to file that away as well, and then just make sense of things. But sometimes it takes another person's perspective to sometimes jar that or to trigger it. It kind of falls back on everything that we've just been talking about today, and that's that self-evaluation, the critiquing. Sometimes you need that person on the outside to say, "Hey, man, check this out." Great people at the city, great people within the department, great friends, they're there. Barring that they don't bullshit you and they're honest with you, dude, there's lots of takeaways. Ton of takeaways.
Just make use of the resources.
Yeah, and it makes things better for our families too, in some degree, because sometimes I don't know that they know what the fuck they signed up for.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Has that been a journey in itself? You realizing family and the effects on family and
oh, for sure.
how to do that better? And
in a lot of respects, I wish I had done things differently in a lot of ways, but it was my journey, and I embrace it. Yeah, no, I wish I wasn't as hard on my kids or my wife at times, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we all.
I can't change it now.
Yeah,
but
it's all hindsight.
I recognize it though.
And there's a lot of life ahead, right? Nothing's done.
Well, exactly. I'm trying to get better. Believe me. That'll be my goal when I retire, man. Just continually self-improve and do better. Be a nicer person.
Yeah. You've got a good balance. I'd stick with it if I were you.
All right, man.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this today. I took a lot from it, like I always do.
Well, you know what? I enjoyed it. I love what we do. I've got a great amount of respect for this platform, and hopefully somebody gets a little takeaway, if not a couple of laughs. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it today, Scotty.
Cool,
it was
man.
awesome, man.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
All right, see you.
Cheers.